officially call I'm officially calling this meeting at 7:09 on June 12th. Clerk, call the roll.
Katie.
Present.
Brian.
Present.
Eden.
Present.
John.
Present.
Emmanuel.
Present.
I'm here. Lizette. Adam.
We clearly have a sufficient amount of the membership to conduct we actually have forum, so we have plenty to conduct the actual business. All right. Sorry, my dog is going crazy. Okay. With that being said, we have a agenda item, which is the approval of we're looking for an amendment to the February meeting minutes. I can't remember why we're amending those February meetings.
Yeah, I can make a motion to amend the February meeting minutes. They should have been listed as organizational, financial, health, and practices, not personnel reasons.
Okay. Is there a second to Eden's motion?
Second.
Seconded by Brian. Is there any further discussion? Seeing that there is no discussion, I will entertain it as you know. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. The February minutes have been amended on Eden's motion. Okay, second agenda item is the approval of the April meeting minutes, since that there was not enough for a quorum for May. So that's why we're approving April right now. I'll entertain any motions right now regarding the April meeting minutes.
There was an issue, the date was wrong, I believe.
Well, then let me bring that up.
I think you had the 27th and it was the 17th.
I could, because I never know the date. Okay, one that's labeled April 17th, and then I saved it as April 17th, and I wrote April 27th.
Yeah.
I'm just changing the date to 17th.
A motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, so on Jonathan's motion, seconded, I didn't catch who seconded that.
Eden, me.
So seconded by Eden. Okay, any further discussion regarding the April meeting minutes? Seeing that there is no further discussion on this, all those in favor to adopt the April meeting minutes, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. All right, we're moving now to the third. I can't remember the map. Looks like the fourth agenda item, which is the ED report, which I will turn over to Tina.
Are you sure your dog just doesn't want to talk about my report? Yeah, so
Does not.
I did send out a abbreviated report to the board, and we'll open up the floor for discussion or questions regarding my report.
Did you want to go through? I see you have them listed A, B, C, D. Did you want to go in order, or did you just want us to jump in with the things that caught our eye?
You go ahead and jump. Well, these are things that weren't necessarily in my report outside of the youth workshops. So
the ACM conference I didn't recognize. Did I miss that in the report?
Conference in Boston that's happening in a couple weeks. Still wanted to see if anyone wanted to go for a single day. They do have the single day option. Thursday is all about board governance, or WIMA is able to provide tickets to the boat cruise on Tuesday night. And just wanted to offer that up to board members. A great opportunity to learn about the organization, the national organization, meet people in this field, talk to other board members. You can tell me offline if you want to take advantage of that. The boat cruise, there's a trolley that leaves from Boston University and will take you over to the seaport and bring you back. And it's like a 2-hour cruise or something. So Thursday, as I mentioned, of that week is the board governance. It's a great opportunity to get the things done that this board needs to do. We're gonna get some guidelines to that. If anyone's available the day, was it Thursday, the 27th,
The 26th.
26th, and I think it's not even a full day, right?
No, it's just the session, so.
Well, actually, there's multiple sessions that day on board governance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So it's
Um,
probably like an hour and a half, but you could pick and choose and.
I don't have the bandwidth, unfortunately. My whole June is hourly booked.
Mm.
It sounds like the kind of thing that Adam Schulman would really enjoy, though.
yeah, I'll approach him about it, so,
I mean, anybody that wants to do some networking
yeah,
and learn.
and learn more.
Yeah, I'm bummed. I really wanted to go actually.
Sure. So the Alliance for Community Media's executive director approached me and asked me if I would like to present a panel. So at the ACM conference, I'm doing a 2-part workshop, facilitated conversation, bringing in some professionals from fundraising world, woman who does fundraising consultancy on a variety of different topics like donor prospecting, CRMs, annual giving, membership. She's worked with organizations that have had $10,000 negative budgets and $24 million positive budgets. And then I've invited someone from Mass Development who we've gotten grants with before to talk about that state muni kind of opportunity that different organizations might have. The second half is facilitated conversation with 2 executive directors from other local media arts centers, and they're going to talk about how they're trying to find additional funds like sponsorships and monetizing their facility space. But it'll be a facilitated conversation, so it'll be like taking the temperature in the room, seeing who's doing what bandwidth they have they started fundraising, are they really pros in fundraising, and then doing sort of facilitated conversation. So obviously bringing the experience I've had at UMA and getting earmarks, my 25 plus years of experience in with different arts organizations, museums, doing fundraising, running annual giving programs, doing donor prospecting. I'm excited about it. It's gonna be good.
Sounds like a great
Great.
panel.
It's 2 sessions on one day. And then whenever I go to those conferences, because my background's not in community media, I always try to go to different types of things, not just fundraising. So I go to things about archiving and things about programming and things about lots of different other DEI things, anything that has like, that's not necessarily in my wheelhouse, just so that I can, garner more knowledge. And then poor Tina gets like a 20-page report of all the things that I've learned.
Oh, shucks.
So, but I wanted to feel like the organizations got their money's worth when they sent me to a conference, so.
Yeah, so that's a conference. Felicia, myself, and Aaliyah will be going. I actually was part of the conference planning committee, so I'm doing a lot of volunteering, but also attending workshops as much as possible. We're actually gonna be staying on site in the dorm rooms. It's a little crazy, but
It's the cheapest option.
it's Boston, it's the cheapest option.
Which means very expensive.
Yes.
Too bad, like the hotel was crazy, like, so I said no, and so.
Which, and to be clear, we covered that with our own personal funding, so
Yeah.
we did not pay use UMA funding to
Yeah.
cover the lodging, so. Yeah, so we're excited about it, it'll be a good experience, it's always a great experience with the Alliance. For those of you who don't know, I've been a part of that organization for decades. It's a national organization that supports community media centers, and I find great value in engaging with this organization, so.
It's a way to show what we do here in Massachusetts off, because Massachusetts is this like kind of star of
The
the
juggernaut,
yeah, how we work with our local officials, how we get contracts for the city, things like that, so.
Okay, so we then jump into youth workshops. So I had reported in my report that we had 7 total signups. I'm happy to say we now have 9 total signups and an email of interest. I think over the next week or two, we're gonna see an influx of people really deciding if they're gonna be doing this or not. We've been doing a lot of engagements. And so we have hit the threshold, the minimum threshold to actually hold them. But I would say if we were looking at the ROI, it's not there in comparison to staff time into what we'll be getting out. But this is a beta test, right? This is something we're excited about trying to do and continue to do and roll into other different programs. So the fact that people are engaging and the kids are super excited, and I think once people see what it is, they're gonna be like, oh, I want my kid to be a part of that now too, so. And so hopefully we'll continue. No one has signed up for the August one, however, so it's the first 3 workshops that we've got signups for. So if we get to the point of July, we might call the August one, but
That makes sense.
but we also want to wait until the first round of the first group goes, because maybe they'll tell their friends about it and be like, oh, we can still sign up for that, so.
I think it's a fantastic program. I'm really glad. So I'm so relieved.
So did flyers go out through the schools? Cause I know that was one of the, mentioned in them.
Leah sent them, didn't she? To the superintendent, and.
I believe she did, yeah, so she did an electronic flyer as a PDF to the superintendent. And then I've gone to chamber events and handed them to like little best friends, because a lot of times they have older siblings. The YMCA in Malden put up a flyer for us, so like there's plenty of flyers out there. If you take 1 or 2 and you know a local business that would capture some of that age group, please take them and ask them to be put up. It would be really helpful.
But we're not hitting the youth directly.
I think it did go in the superintendent's like monthly
Monthly.
email that he sent.
Fantastic.
So I don't recall it coming in on like, what's the
The dojo or.
dojo, but it did come in the
And
monthly.
if you
email.
have access to those
Yeah, I
resources, we
reach
can,
out.
we'll be happy to give you I think we
Okay.
sent the PDF to the board, didn't we? Of the flyer,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
so please feel free to
Yeah.
share that with whoever you have in your resource.
And did you
toolbox.
talk to the rec too? I know that was also in there that you were gonna talk
Yep.
to them about sending it out and I haven't seen that come through.
They didn't seem super excited about putting the program actually on their platform, because it wasn't a rec department class. But they did say that they would be happy to share it via social media, so I can follow up with, Joe and Laura.
Yeah, cause they've been putting out several that aren't rec.
Yeah,
But yeah, something
Yeah,
from
they did.
another town,
Yep,
right? So-
they've done quite a few things
Does
that.
it conflict with stuff that they're doing?
Well,
I'll follow up, you know what, I'll make a note to follow with them tomorrow, so.
And if you're able to share it with like your networks or your resources, or you need us to bump it up again in the social media and you wanna share it, like just send us an email. We're happy to get you that.
Whenever it comes through on my social media, I like
I
like
share.
all of them. I share them.
Yeah,
I-
I'm sharing all.
An uptick in the engagement from the board and our social media, and I greatly appreciate that, it helps, it really does, so.
I also, as much as I can, try and share it to relevant groups, the Malden Young Families. You
Yeah.
probably saw it a couple times that I've shared it. I want to make sure it's getting out there. It is our responsibility as a board member to make sure that these messages are getting out. But I only know so many people.
I know, I know, but we've got how many minds here that have different connections throughout the community, so that's a pretty big pool if you think about it.
When is the last date? What's the cutoff date?
Yeah, set a deadline date.
I like that. I feel like a lot of people will scramble at the last minute to find care in many cases, and
Unless they'll go back to like a big poster in the window that catches people's attention with the
Sure.
foot
And we
traffic.
do have our flyers and stuff out there.
But they're small, so it
Yeah.
doesn't, like, if there's
Sure.
something that like takes up the whole window that says, hey, what are your kids doing this summer? And then has all the information, that might catch an eye, and even if someone's driving by, that it's big enough to see, because there is so much there's a ton of foot traffic out there now. That's a ton of cars going by, so if there's something big enough to catch someone's eye as they're driving, they may stop or look it up and say, oh, what is that?
is it on the screen?
Yep, and I will, yes, it's on the monitor in the front, and I will say, we have at least, I would say, I'm here by 10 AM in the morning at the latest, and we have at least 2 to 4 people every single day stop to read the flyer. So
That's great.
there, I mean, it's the first, it's the most interaction I've ever seen in anything we posted on the windows. So there's engagement, but I agree there could be, we can always do better.
Yeah,
Right.
to me, big is if it catches your eye, I mean,
Sure.
with all the cars driving by.
I'm really looking.
You can do anything that stops traffic.
Well, no, it's not traffic, but
I
people
think,
are,
like, are you saying like?
from a marketing standpoint, the more people see, the more they're gonna engage.
I look forward to a debrief. I'm really looking forward to this like, I'm glad that we got it enough people to sign up for it, so we can have some data and gather and see what engagement looks like and learn from whatever's happening this year.
So what was the Malden families one you said?
Malden Young
They're-
Families, I
they're
should have there too,
Facebook
yeah.
Groups, right?
Melrose Young Families. So
I'm sure there's got to be ones for each city there in the
Mhm.
there are satellites, but I'm only in
I'm only.
right Malden Young
Yeah.
Families and Malden High School Families. And I think there's one other one. I can't remember what the other one.
Malden Public, yeah, Malden Schools, this Malden Young Political.
And this is what I had intended to bring up at last month's meeting, and then my world fell apart last minute, so I apologize for that. But I have a whole list of areas in the surrounding communities, so if you're close to any of these areas, we'd love to have you put, bring a flyer over there, so.
We'll give you the tape.
Yeah, I'll give you the tape. I don't think we have that tape. So.
How has the engagement? I'm sorry, I don't know if this is on here. What's the engagement on the calendar been like?
It's been really great. We're actually presenting to the council on Tuesday of this next week. Felicia's gonna be doing the presentation. Again, we're still doing the soft rollout on this because we're trying to get the engagement from the community to put the events on there. But I'm on every event listing and we're getting 1 to 2 events listed every single day on it. And I think people are using it and we're gonna keep promoting that. And I think we're gonna do ribbon cutting on it in September.
Gotcha.
We have buy-in, so our letters of support that we've gotten from when we got the grant from the Malden Cultural Council were from Councilor Winslow, the Malden Chamber. The Mayor wrote a letter, so we have city support for it. It really is having people adopt using it, getting used to using it, improving some of our technology around it, and making it just look a little nicer. And that all things are possible, but right now it's about introducing people to the platform and having them understand how it benefits them. Everybody is like, "Hey, that's a great idea." So okay, it is, but please use it. It's only as good as you using it, so.
So is there a link like on Facebook that could be posted, like shared regularly so that we can keep sharing it so that it,
Yeah,
the
we
engagement goes up?
I don't know if we do a weekly one, but we definitely do. Couple times a month we're posting.
Because the more we share it, the more engagement, I mean,
Yeah.
then it's gonna show up
Right
in more
now,
people's feeds.
On our social media, we've been super heavy on the workshop, so we haven't been so much heavy on the events.
Would it be like special events highlighted that we could post that and it would also be for the whole thing?
So we're continuing to work on the marketing plan and the underwriting plan for Malden events. It's again in its soft launch, so we're still working out the kinks. The idea is to have funding coming in to highlight events, right? So you as a business or an organization would pay us to make an ad for you on the front page of the Malden events, and that way we're recouping some of the costs it takes to maintain and keep this program up. So so at the moment, we haven't really done much of that yet. So because we don't have a designer for the ads, right? So we have to look at how that's gonna work.
It's gonna be something where you float it up like Google does, right? You search for things and all the things, but the highlighted one floats to the
They
top,
stay there constantly across the top.
right? Come see Brian
Or
Balls. We'll
unless-
speak about financial services and such. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
And I will note, the current platform we're using, if you're on a computer and use maldenevents.com, all of that shows up, but if you're on your phone, it doesn't.
Which is gonna be that's a hard sell.
That's a UX
Right.
problem. Is that a like platform issue with the calendar? Or?
I believe it's like a back end issue. We're investigating improved technologies. but we need and want to be fiscally responsible, so we're not gonna adopt a new technology that is not easy to use. We have money to pay for,
Mhm.
and that, it does definitely return on investment, so.
And for that platform, is that one of the things that they have, has anybody talked to their tech support to see?
It's one person.
Okay.
So for what it
Okay.
is right now, it works beautifully and the concept is there, right?
Right.
So we're getting the buy-in for the concept right now and people are loving it, which is
good.
fantastic.
Glad to hear that.
So we though are thinking, okay, how can we turn this into even more for everybody,
Right.
including ourselves? So that's where we're at right now. We're looking at different tools to make it easy. We want it very user friendly,
Mhm.
but we do want to be able to, underwrite it as well. So
Yeah, because if the ads show on the phone, you can solicit businesses too, so that it doesn't just have to be the event people.
Absolutely.
It's the
Right.
businesses that say,
Right.
hey, so and so is gonna do your taxes as you're looking at the events. Because they know
Yeah.
people are gonna be looking at events.
Yeah, and the chamber populates things in there,
Idle Hands does a lot.
Idle Hands does, yeah, so we do have, and the Kiwanis Club was very much behind us. Thank you, Jordan Shapiro.
Amazing.
He's amazing, so.
Yeah. So that's Molded Events. All right, now, before we go into the other stuff, anyone want to talk about anything specific in my board report?
So many things. I don't know how much time we want to spend on it, but there were a lot of things I wanted to chat about.
We
Do
do need.
you want me to do it offline?
Well, it depends on what it is.
I mean, we're way behind on the budget estimate for cable revenues. That was the big one I saw from the budget estimates, but I didn't know if we were doing that
The
later.
budget's here. I printed out a revised. I don't know what you call way behind.
Well, in the ED report, you've broken it down a little differently. The funding, the budget versus actual for the current year. We were 68% for the operating grant from cable providers. Which
I don't know if you're looking at the same one I am. It's
88.
at 88%. Is that the May one or the June one?
It's okay. June 12th?
Yeah,
June?
you're at May. June is 88%.
So we did just receive some funding from our op grant, so we're at 88%. And mind you, we don't actually receive
Right, lags. It lags.
8 legs, so we won't get another round of funding until late August, and that should technically be attributed to this fiscal year.
No.
Which the auditor will do when he does the audit. So we're at, 88% of what was budgeted.
Like based on, how will we know if we're gonna need 100% before August? Do we know? Like, are we close to what we budgeted?
Well, with what came in the last 2 quarters.
Yeah.
It was roughly between 117, 120.
Okay,
So if it stays consistent with that, we'll actually be over budget
okay.
for what was,
Gotcha.
right.
You don't
A
know
budget is a
until.
budget, right? So-
Yeah, no. Yeah, and you don't know until you get the check, is that? it's just-
Exactly.
The big one that stuck out to me was there looked like there was a lot of one-time funding from the other income where we redeemed CDs. That's 77 grand. That's not, we can't rely on that next year
No.
because that was one time. And what was the other part of it was rewards,
Yeah.
Yeah, Amex
the
reward.
Amex rewards.
And honestly.
I'm like, it's there, you gotta use it,
Yeah.
right? We're turning over all the rocks. Yeah, it was not, that was a lot of rewards. When I first saw it, I was like, what are we doing with all these rewards?
Yeah.
Paying everything by credit.
Yeah. Yeah, but and we'll continue to generate points, but I'm assuming we used a lot of them. Is that correct?
Yeah, we used pretty much all of them.
Right. So next year we can't, that's 77 grand that needs to be made up that brought us very close to budget actuals. That's a
Yes.
substantial portion of the overall revenue that is not really revenue because CDs coming due is not, I don't know that I actually call it revenue. So just be aware, this is a slightly rosier picture than I would really think it is. It was really nice to have that money, but
Yes.
it ain't coming back.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of it is, just not the CDs,
not the CDs,
but keep,
and not the points anymore. Yeah.
well, if you keep paying with.
Well,
You keep
and that
paying
was our
with the,
strategy,
yeah,
and that was for Brian's recommendation, is if
Mhm.
we were gonna be paying all this, then put it on the points, right?
Yep.
So.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah. What else?
No, it's good to see membership up. Above what we budgeted for.
Yeah, I was shocked at the membership fees. That's
That's great.
fantastic.
It seems like production services is in there.
And, you know, making inroads with folks, we've had a extended relationship with Creative Walden and Sandy Felder, and I speak frequently, so when she's writing grants, she will say, can I write production services into our grant for you? And I'm like, absolutely, because some of the videos that James has produced for the artist profiles there, they've just been blown away by the work. So we try and check in fairly regularly and say, you know, what are you applying for? Is there some way that we could cross pollinate? You know.
Yeah, and these numbers are actually not 100% for the fiscal quarter, because I've got two outstanding invoices right now for almost $1,200 in production services. So that will put us over 100% of our goal, which I'm really encouraged by.
Yeah.
But when you look at these numbers, that's a drop in the bucket of what we need, right? So we can get to the budget, and it's actually a line item in the agenda.
You're talking about the membership fees, the other stuff, the production services and the other number.
Both of them.
Yeah. Production services, I was going to ask about production services because that was one of the strategic goals, right? Was to improve the revenue from that line. Do you just not think we're going to be at a growth stage within the next fiscal year as we're focusing on the youth engagement, or?
Expanding the paid production sheet,
Mhm.
to include the studio and to include some revisions that we'll be making to the upper level. But I think we're not gonna see huge numbers on that until we get our basement renovated. Until we have space to actually create programming and spaces for our community to rent and use.
Okay. I was hoping it'd be faster, but I'm always hoping everything could be
I know.
faster. There's one other thing I wanted to ask about. I don't remember what it was.
But you're right, even if it is a drop in the bucket, and even if you renovated and did all that, I mean, what kind of goal could we set there realistically?
So we
You
talk
know?
about, well, the renovation, especially to the downstairs, in my mind, is really gonna be set up for that workforce development program that we're talking about, right? So we're gonna have training rooms and areas and then, but when we're not doing that, we can be renting them out to community members. So that we hope will bring in significant funding.
The workforce development program, can you tell us a little bit more? I know that this has been a goal of yours. Can you tell us a little bit what that looks like? Potential revenue generation, like what is it? I don't feel like I have a really clear picture of it.
So I'm gonna give you the 10,000-foot level, because there's no plan in place, right? The intention is to take what we're already doing on a daily basis and turn it into a program to certify individuals, so that if they don't wanna go down to college, they're already certified in media production. But not just that, but did you call it like?
Soft skills.
Soft skills, that kind of thing, and we hope to partner with, like I was met a gentleman at the multi-chamber event from Bunker Hill College, and I was talking to him about it. He's super excited about it. So maybe we could actually even be a satellite classroom for colleges, and they pay a fee for that, right? So it's sort of making sure that we are a hub to prepare individuals to get right into the workforce.
Is part of that going to be classroom style
Yes.
formats then? Okay.
Yes.
I got the impression that there were going to be smaller studios, kind of like the.
So no, if you could go back to the feasibility study, they did a fantastic job of creating a really modular space downstairs with moving walls and everything. So you can have it set up like an art gallery or a training room or individual classrooms or offices. So it's really gonna be multi-use.
Yeah, that whole development's grant funded, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
it would be a capital campaign.
which in my report, we talked about. Felicia just submitted to mass development.
That's the,
Just
that's
for
the $500,000,
lift.
that's the $500,000 grant, right?
The $500,000 grant just for the construction of the lift.
So that would include a revised design by the architect. That would include like making sure the front area is available and ready for construction. That would be the actual mechanism of a lift. But that's all it would be.
It's $500,000 just to make it handicap accessible.
It's the mechanism itself is about $125,000.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And
Huge
that's, but
investment.
that's
Way cheaper than an elevator, because an elevator requires all kinds of structural engineering. So a lift is something that is, it takes up less space, so you lose less square footage. But it also, satisfies certain ADA requirements, which also would potentially open us up to other grants. 'Cause Yeah,
That's what it said, there's gotta
Yeah.
be grants out there with the ADA for making
Right.
yeah.
that type
And
of
if you
space
think about
available.
the square footage of the first floor, it's double, it's the same downstairs that's completely unused. And there's so much potential. When I first got here and I walked through that and I went, whoa, I can do so much down here, right? Like, I'm super excited about what we can do, but we just have to do the capital pay to do it, and we have a lot of buy-in for it.
We're not moving, right? Cause that's the thing I worry about, is
Yeah,
that
me
like
too.
this location isn't staying, we've invested, I don't know how much money. I don't know why my phone's.
Well, I think that, that will be a conversation when we do the long-term strategic planning process, that Felicia also wrote a grant to get some assistance with that, right? That's happening this year.
Yeah, thank you, Lori. She was the one you sent the,
Yeah.
is it the?
Highland,
Highland.
Highland Foundation.
Yeah, so
So
it's,
there's a summer program.
it's a private foundation located in Newton, I think. And they offered up to 100K to do CIC, which is consultants see that would come in and help us do a strategic plan, like soup to nuts, basically. All all the stuff we do well, all the stuff that are pain points, look at the board, get buy-in from our community, talk to our members, like they stay with you through the whole process. They don't just write it. They're there with you in the trenches, thinking about how do you get from where you are now to 6 months, to a year, to 5 years. So having that and having that written in a way with consultants, I think can only, and having it paid for. Is a
Right,
big thing.
so I've been through the process at another, in another organization, and it was $30,000 to $50,000 just for that, right? And that was back in what, 8, 9, 10 years ago, so. Yeah,
Yeah, so if you find any grants that look good, just forward them over and they'll look
Yeah.
at it to really.
I did
We
the
would-
city one, but they probably
It's
knew.
on our plate.
It's on our plate.
Something I don't-
no, everybody sent us that one, actually, it was really great. Yeah, I mean, Felicia has a grant calendar that I think it would be really beneficial to kind of figure out a way to make that public too, it's like what we're applying for and stuff like that.
What else people apply for it either though?
Right, no, we can just give like a 10.
Yeah.
Like a highlight of, this is what we're doing.
Though, because we're doing, I think sharing grant calendars with other fundraising folks is a good thing, because then you understand, like, they're asking for it for another specific kind of purpose, like, I don't feel that we're competing against each other. I think it, like, the more cooperation, the more communication, the better, so.
I didn't have anything more. Not for the ED report.
Anyone else?
I'm sorry about my phone ringing, it was a scam lately, so.
You have 2 items here, front desk support and then table support.
Anything else on the ED report that we want to talk about?
Can we talk about the reorganization and how
Yeah.
that's
We can.
affecting everything and?
I think that's a really great idea, thank you, John. Well, as you can see from our report, and as has been made public now in social media, and there is more information going out in the next couple weeks, like over the next week, to our community, we have unfortunately had to reduce our staff by 3 full-time positions. All of those individuals have been advised that this is happening. They've all been offered notice and severance packages. And they are all amazing individuals who it's difficult to lose. But our understanding that this is the reality of what our funding is, so. The board may have seen the social media post that was put out yesterday afternoon. There have been some comments and, Brian, thank you so much for jumping in and showing your 2 cents on it. I appreciate it. I did put, we had a really great question about how did we get here? So I responded, sort of where we were at. And, I worked all day today drafting an email to our constant contact list that will go out in greater detail about why we're here and what next steps are. And then I'm also working on a press release for next week's advocate to give more detail. So we're trying to tell the story about why we're here, right?
Do you need comments or input from the board or like quotes or anything to that effect for the press release?
And for a quote from the board president.
Good.
If you want to provide quotes or comment on the social media post, please feel free to do so, you know.
I'm happy to, if you need anything, please.
Thank you.
Time, I don't have a lot of time, but if I can give you a couple sound bites or something, it'd be helpful.
Which was
Yeah.
where,
That was on Facebook,
okay.
but I saw there was engagement on Instagram as well.
There's so many,
Yep.
Right, I should clarify,
Yeah.
thank you.
because I don't go on Facebook.
The major platforms are gonna be Instagram and Facebook. I mean, X, Blue Sky and LinkedIn are out there, but those are just channels I'm assuming you're not focused on. Right.
That's what I did, not threads or.
Not that I'm aware of, I think, I didn't know it was on Instagram, so, Osa posted it.
I saw there was engagement on Instagram too.
Osa posted it for me, so, she scheduled it to be posted.
Do you think it's appropriate to put on LinkedIn?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
It's yeah, that's 100% appropriate.
So you just tell me what, because I have access to the LinkedIn account
Okay.
and I can put it up.
I don't use LinkedIn, so I don't know how it works.
It's just like any other
Is this
social media
really-
platform.
It's related, yeah.
Okay. I think, yes, I think that's a good idea. In a very late email today, I had Lori forward the entire board the letter that's going out in constant contact. And my ask to this board is to relay that same information when out in the community when you are asked about why this is happening.
Mhm.
Because it's the truth. And we don't want mixed messages out in our community. The reality of the situation is our cable funding is declining way too fast for us to keep the level of staffing that we have. And a very tough choice had to be.
And that letter's just a PR release, is that?
Yeah, well, it's going out to our community and, yeah.
It's a letter from Tina and it's information about what the climate of fundraising is and what some bills are that are happening that are could possibly affect funding further. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
you sent it out, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
you should have it,
Yeah.
yeah.
And this is a great time as well to push those two bills that Tina put in her letter, the House bill and also on the Senate side as well, to raise awareness that these bills are being proposed or they're in committee or wherever they are. I did see talking about the Facebook post, I did see, I don't know what day it was when it came out. It was either yesterday or the day before. And I clicked on the share button to see who's been sharing it because they said there were 4 shares. And one of the posts that I can actually see was another group who shared the recent update, and their tagline was saying that it was basically a call to arms and saying that this is why people need to get involved and fundraise and be involved with UMA and be involved with community access television stations so that these things do not continue to happen. So
Yeah, that was controversial. So the poetry group that is here every other Monday, so. And we appreciate their support, yeah, understand that.
I also saw that Ron Cox had responded in Facebook as well. I don't know if you saw that. It's not
I chose to respond to some comments, I won't choose to respond to others, and we'll just leave it at that.
all right. I know he has a history and I was gonna respond and I'm like, you know what, I'm not.
My guess. You have every right to say what you want, it's a public forum, you say what you want, including all of you. But my ask is for you to understand that this is why it was done. And it shouldn't be any other reason.
Well, the comment didn't make any sense. I don't understand how it lost its way. It's money is money. You can only make more, spend less, and we're trying to make more as best we can. Can't spend any less.
making comments and, there's backlash. I wanna say on public record that the city of Malden has been incredibly supportive of this organization. And has been there for everything in my tenure here. I really respect the relationship we have with them, and I have, no doubt in their support of our organization, or do I feel like they haven't done everything that they could possibly do to help us, so.
I don't understand what anybody would be critical of. You can't pay people with money you don't have. Like, it's just a reality,
I
right?
think it's because there was a person that was here for so long. And that is a community member that's well respected. And I think that hurts a lot of people in town.
that's
And I
fair,
think-
yeah.
And I don't think people are thinking money like you do.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think there's an empathy that goes out to people, that lose their job. Nobody wants this to happen, certainly, but
Including myself, if I may
Right.
say.
Yeah, I don't think anybody here is. really
Yeah, nobody
happy.
wanted that to happen.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it also will bring questions of what programming, how, what you're doing to make, it's gonna bring a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Oh, I welcome the engagement. I mean, if this is the lightning rod that brings more people to volunteer, then
But it's not just that, it's the whole programming aspect and what could or could not have been done to bring in more revenue. I know there's been questions of what kind of programs have been run. There haven't been very many programs. There hasn't been a push to bring in new programs up until now with this youth program. So for how many years was there nothing? That hurts.
that's
So
true.
there's gonna be a lot of questions as to, well, okay, well, why wasn't A, B, and C done?
Well, that's
And
hindsight's
that's-
always 2020, right? You had COVID, and then after COVID, the building was falling
For
apart.
years.
What's that?
It
But
was
what's
also
been-
not that never were a revenue generator here,
Right.
so
That's
what
true.
was happening I was on the board previously. Before Tina, when Ron Cox was our
Mhm.
executive director, and. It was great because everything got funded and they didn't have to necessarily worry about that. And they ran programs and they didn't worry about the bottom line necessarily, and they kind of, but that was a different time period, and that was also
Right.
a different.
Streaming.
Yeah, so I was always sort of with other board members, kind of like beating the drum, like, let's think about fundraising, let's think about membership. Oh, we can't afford, people can't afford that. People can't so it was, this is good now, but not necessarily realizing the climate was gonna change. So, there's things that Tina had to do when she got here. When you change leadership, you start to, design different perspectives and also different goal sets, and also realize there's some things that you need to do to sustain the organization, because the actual numbers needed to be nails down, and they hadn't been for a very long time. So it's not about program revenue, it's about what we can sustain properly and we have funding for.
But it also goes back to what are you doing for the community? If you want the community to support you and give you
Right.
money, what are you doing for the community itself?
That's what we're doing now, right?
We are doing for the community, because there's a lot of stuff that we do every day for the community, but are you aware of it?
Probably not, no.
Yeah.
And that's part of the
help us.
issue.
We would love to
Well,
help you
that's kind of
here.
one of the reasons why I came here, because it is frustrating, and I know I can speak for other community members to see the lack of collaboration with different organizations within the city,
Like,
to see the high school, for one. They have a media arts department.
we have the high school kids in here. We had a whole program with at least 5 different groups of kids that would come in here on a weekly basis.
From the YWCA.
No, from the high school.
Okay.
Yeah, from the high school. James would take them through, gave them soft skills, gave them training opportunities. We've had groups in here from Housing Families. We've had kids girls in here from the Y, but we have that what you're saying is not necessarily factually accurate. But if you wanted more information about who's been in, we'd be happy to share that.
But there's
with you.
not a collaboration
It
with the
is a-
powers that be at the high school.
Can you help make that happen?
Yeah.
Yes, he is actually gonna sit on the community board with, because I
Yeah.
was put on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's-
The
So,
membership.
the membership, so yes, he is When he is absolutely gonna come.
So what is he,
Excellent.
how can we work together with that? Because bringing that resource and bringing that contact is awesome. We would love it. But telling us that we're not doing something that we know we're doing, when you have an inroads would be great. That's collaboration.
Yeah, we haven't had a meeting yet, but he's one that we reached out to because having had kids at the high school, we're familiar with him.
Yeah, of
course.
And he
He'll be
wants
very
to be
helpful.
involved.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty excited about that. 'Cause
He-
I have not heard. You know, we've talked about this, you know, there was an outreach, there was conversation. I come from a background of being literally in high school and running a television studio and being very active with a media arts teacher and running programs with that person. So it was the first thing I did when I got here.
What I'm just finding out about, is there a program, you guys might know more, the Linden program? Something like Tiny Tiger or something?
Tiger TV.
So cute.
Fun. So
And
these are all things. So to your point, and I appreciate your point too, because it's an excellent point, is prior to my arrival, there was a lot more cable funding, so we didn't have to worry about funding those programs, right? And those partnerships. Now, when you say partnerships, I think about our partnership with the Chamber, the Chinese Cultural Connection, Higher Learning. Like, we have a ton of different partnerships that we're actively involved in with a lot of different projects here. But we don't know if our community knows that, right? Which is why I put all of my ED reports now on the website. But I have to ask this board, how do you want me spending my time? Do you want me running this organization, doing the administrations, the budget, the strategic planning, overseeing staff, that kind of thing? Or do you want me writing newsletters about what we're doing? I need to know, because I can go either way, but I can't do all of it, right?
I mean, it always comes back to what's going to generate the most revenue
Right.
for the organization at the moment. And somebody has to do all that administrative work, and there's no one else to do it.
And I very clearly, I met with Adam because he wasn't gonna be able to be here on tonight, and I said something to him, and he says, I think you really need to say that to the rest of the board, so I am. And I need to stop hearing Uma needs to do this, because you are Uma too, right? So we need to do this, not Uma needs to do this.
But I'll also go back to when I made suggestions before, you told us marketing is doing that, we're not handling it. You, in one of the meetings a couple months back, I asked questions about the going through the rec and doing that kind of thing, and your
Oh, for the
response,
youth?
but wait a minute, but your response was marketing is doing that. So it was like, wait a minute, we're trying to give you ideas, trying to help out, trying to facilitate some of these, and that was the pushback that I personally felt was it's not your place.
So I actually remember that, and it was our first time we were talking about the youth workshops and
Right.
how they were gonna be and what we were doing. And we didn't have everything, we had literally just put them on Eventbrite that day. And I remember the questions, and they were great questions, but we hadn't defined the marketing plan yet. So that was my comment, is we are waiting for OSA to figure out what the marketing was. So I apologize if you felt pushed back on it, wasn't my intention. I didn't wanna overstep what her plans already were to market them, and figured I would then come to the board afterwards, which I think I did with the brochure and the flyer.
But there
shortly
was
after.
still no, right, and that's great, but it's still, there has to be outreach outside of social media.
Right.
Outside of, I mean, whether it's spending, the $500 and putting flyers through the school so that all the kids get them.
Who's doing it?
Whether it's, what do you mean?
Who's doing what you're saying? They don't
I
have,
would 100% help out with any of that stuff.
excellent.
Like, but again, I felt like, sit down, shut up, your opinion doesn't matter. And that was,
I'm glad you're here.
that is like that is how I felt. Like, I offered to talk to the rec department, and it was like, nope, marketing is handling everything. So now here we, but now here we are. And the program is here, like I even said with the window, it's like, there's a huge window, just little things that make, $25 for a big poster. It's minimal money to get exposure. And it's just, again, my opinion, it's when I try to say, oh, well, if we did this, if we did, I work in marketing, I work in that kind of, like, that's what we do. I do with capital campaigns, for nonprofits, and so.
So what are you proposing?
But now it's, at this point, it's too late. And this is why.
We're
like,
still
from the
recruiting
beginning-
for the youth program.
But
That's
school's out tomorrow. So you've lost that opportunity.
my kids are out today.
Yeah, so you've lost that opportunity.
Well,
to
people
hit
still
the
need care.
elementary school.
People-
They
people
do,
still
but
need
how are
care.
you getting it to them?
You tell me.
Well, when they get sick of their kid after 2 weeks, they'll be ready to sign up.
But they
for
have to
camp.
know about it.
But if they.
And how do they know to look for it? How are
I
you
still
looking
think
for
the
it?
window's a good idea, right? If they go to Rock Spot for an hour or something, they might walk by still, like just
Well, and you
because
have,
they're not in school. building.
karate studio next door, like when I
Right.
walked by, that place was packed. They're all coming out, walking
Right,
by.
or if they go have something to eat.
Right,
at
something
Mystic
to eat,
Station.
right?
So.
And it's just somebody says it too.
We heard your suggestion about increasing the size of the flyer, and I think we both said, yeah, we can do that. So thank you, like,
Yeah.
I don't want you to
No,
feel.
and I don't want you to feel like I'm attacking, but I'm, as a community member coming in from the outside, where we used to have a lot of things videotaped, like things that were going on in the schools, sporting events, some of the plays, some of that stuff. Yeah, and I understand graduation, but that's one event,
And we did the prom.
okay?
The red carpet.
Yeah, the red carpet, right?
Yeah.
We also did Flag Day, we did the flag raising, we're doing Juneteenth, we're at Pride.
Yeah.
We have also gone from 11 members staff down to 4 now. Right? That's what we started talking about. That's where we are. So when I say, it's not UMA anymore, it's we, right? This is the collaboration I'm looking for too. This is this board. When I talk about board governance, that's what I'm talking about. We need you all to show up for the meetings, to be here and do the work, and we're doing it. We're having conversations, and I appreciate your opinion and your feedback, by the way. I want to be very clear about that. I appreciate the fact that you're on this board. I hope you hear that. And I'm being very sincere in that context. It is, we are where we are. So where do we focus our efforts? Where do we move on from here? We're working on the youth workshop. So feedback on how we market it, learning how to better do that is always going to be appreciated. We no longer have a director of marketing. We don't have anybody specifically running our social media. We don't have bodies out on the streets talking to people. So I'm going to be leaning even more in on all of you to help make that happen and use those resources. I will say the one thing I have shared with both outgoing and team members that are staying is I really truly believe that this is gonna pull us even more together as a team, because we have to now, right? To make this work. And I'll say that to all of you as well. Because we are a team. You're all here for a reason. So.
I hear.
And I think that's what's frustrating is like this workshop is phenomenal. Like this is, I want to see as many kids in it as you could possibly get.
Yeah.
And there are so many parents and caregivers that are looking for things to do. And not all kids like sports. Not all kids they want other, kids like to take pictures, they like to make movies, they like all that kind. And even if someone like sports videos, they go to all these games and they take pictures and they take videos. They don't want to play, but they can learn how to make videos for people. My son's an athlete, so they make a lot of videos of all their plays and stuff for colleges and stuff. And to see the kids get so excited to make these videos, and then when you're sharing them and getting their names out there, that's a huge thing. So the fact that you're having this program is huge, and it's amazing. And I want to see it succeed.
James and I put a lot.
All of us, right? And just to interject. And, we're in a transition period right now, right? I mean, as to Tina's point, right? We went from 11 people, we're down to 4 plus us as a board, right? So what direction are we going to start going in? We're at an inflection point. We all want to see these programs succeed. I think that I have great confidence that they will. And I think that, Katie, I hear what you said, right? Maybe we missed that opportunity to get those kids. I don't think that's, I don't know. I don't think that that's true at all. I think that this is going to catch fire. I mean, even though I know I'm trying to, I'm part of sharing it within my Facebook universe. I mean, it was encouraging to see somebody who I haven't talked to in years, who lives in this town, was super excited and said that she basically got her kids signed up for this. And I know that she's a pretty big vocal person within the community. So it is gonna catch fire, right? But I don't think that this is something that's gonna be overnight either. But I also can't, I'm not gonna use that as an excuse to say that, we shouldn't try. I think we will. And I think, again, going through what we just went through last week and what we're in the middle of right now in this transition period, I do believe that, we'll pick up the slack. We'll do what we have to do. This is fine. Debate is always healthy, right? The discussion that's going on at this table right now is healthy. It's good. It's showing that people actually care about what's going on in this organization. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
I want to be conscious of people's times as well, and we still do need to get through the budget. So is there anything else you'd want to talk about? I wanted to talk to John's point briefly about the longevity of the team members that left and are leaving. And again, we've talked about the decision was not an easy one, and it really came down to a financial decision. But I'm not, I'm human too, right? And I respect and appreciate all the time and effort and the programs and the community enhancement that these individuals have brought to this organization, and they are the history of this organization, and that has not gone unnoticed or unrecognized with these team members. So yeah.
I thought the post was very professional and transparent, and I thought it was very well done, just so you know.
Thank you.
I don't know if I was clear about that.
I appreciate that support. Thank you.
I would encourage everyone on the board to, as if you're talking to people and people are bringing this up, to please encourage them to get involved. Use it as an opportunity. Is it unfortunate that we are where we are, that we did kind of see it coming, and you can only do so much with the resources you have to avoid it, right? Now that we're here, let's try and use an unfortunate event to create something positive. And just every time we step out into the community, we're representatives of UMA. I take that very seriously. When I'm talking to people at UMA, my response to them is, whenever anybody says, why isn't UMA doing X? My response is, would love for you to get involved to make that happen. That's where we need to be, because UMA isn't just going to make it happen on its own. Anybody that wants something to happen needs to start bringing that to the table, right? And that was my response on Facebook today was, we'd love to see you at the board meeting tonight. Be great to have you here because we could really use more help.
I agree. I just want to add something kind of out of left field. Like, it's been on my mind lately. But recently, I don't know, my Facebook blew up with a post. I know your family's probably closer with the student whose father was picked up, and anything, like, I don't have advice, like, it just happened, but anything we can do, like, as UMA wanting to be the hub, we can't do anything in terms of lending his voice and like outreaching more.
So
And using the-
can I give some more context for that? So one of the seniors at Malden, he just graduated. His father was picked up by ICE this past week after he dropped off his child at Forestdale, Ferryway. And so there was a GoFundMe. They're trying to raise money for legal representation to help his father. And
He's also a cancer patient, his father, and not receiving the medications.
Correct.
And it's pretty bad.
Well, I will say, he, like any other member of our community, is welcome to come in and be a member and create their own things. So
His family could.
that's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah, no, not him.
Yeah.
But anyone in our community is welcome to come in and use our facilities and equipment to amplify their voice. That's their right. That's what I would say to that.
Okay.
Were you asking more?
Yeah,
I
love UMA. Like, I don't know, I need to think about it, like all things, like it just happened recently. But, we're talking about putting a poster to benefit this organization, which is important too, but I could see like an equivalent poster to like the GoFundMe page. I mean, granted, I never know where the GoFundMe goes, but like, here's a human being in our community that is in dire need. I've never seen, I was so, I don't want to say happy, but I was pleased to see like my Facebook feed was like everyone reposting that. Like, I've never seen the same GoFundMe reposted. And that was like reassuring to me. And I just Like if UMA wants to be the hub that it wants to be, it needs to be part of that. And I don't know how, like, I don't want us to like benefit from that, but we need to be like, not own it, it's not our problem, but how can we help? Like, how can we be that hub when things like that happen? And like.
That's a really good question.
You know, I do hate to play devil's advocate in this, but I also do think that we might also has to be very careful engaging in that, right? Because while there are people who are obviously affected by what's going on, we also have to remember too that there are people within our community that do support that as well, right? So I do think that as UMA, if I think it was Tina who said that, like, you know, if the family members or whomever want to use like the community space to hold a fundraiser, I don't think that's a problem. I don't know, maybe I'm talking out of turn, but I think it's UMA to actively engage as the co-sponsor or sponsor. I think that we're taking a side where UMA's supposed to be just neutral, not neutral, but it's supposed to provide a place for
Everyone's
one
voice.
or the other or both.
So my mantra is everyone's voice matters. That's the last thing that'll be on my tombstone someday if I have one, right? Everyone's voice matters, and it is not up to me or anyone here to deny that voice to be heard. Our job is to provide the resources to amplify that voice. Our job is not to be involved with creating that voice.
So that's something that Neighborhood View could potentially cover, but not
If there-
necessarily
there's
some.
a journalist that was interested in doing
Right.
the story, that is absolutely their right. You know, we've educated a lot of citizen journalism, journalists, that kind of thing.
It's worth possibly of a further conversation about like something that we could possibly do. We do have to be careful on social media about what we as an organization share, but as individuals, you're involved in that, you should absolutely feel free to share. But like, is there information that we could provide the community around those issues, and perhaps that family might want to talk about their personal experiences, but there might be other ideas that we have that could.
Yeah,
I hear your passion in it, and I think there's something that we can plug into that meets
So
our
right. I just want
responsibilities
people
to
to
the
think
city.
about it. Like, I don't expect you to have an answer in this meeting, but
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
could think about it, like
Yes,
what
yeah.
might, and I get that there's a conflict, like we need to be everyone's voice to an extent in allowing that to happen, but also just recognize
that doesn't mean that we can't host conversations
Right.
about what's happening in
Right.
the community, right? Like we don't have blinders.
Right, right.
I come from a background where shortly after George Floyd, it was my responsibility to record a very uncomfortable roundtable like discussion at our city hall where there was hundreds of people there and police officers and everything else, and I was catching it all on video, right? And so that there's context there. Or we can host a podcast we talk about culture matters in Malden, right? We talk about all kinds of things. And that's something you guys can do too. You can create your own programming, you can create your own dialogue. So
It's definitely worthy of more of a conversation about, is there information that we could provide? Would this family be interested in telling
No,
their
it's something
story?
to
you
think
know?
about, and
Yeah.
if I think of things, I'll reach offline, but I
Please,
just wanted to mention it
please,
this
yeah.
meeting, it is public, I have no issue with saying it out loud, how I
Yeah,
felt. but yeah.
absolutely.
all right, we are still on my EDU report. Any other questions on the actual report before I go into the bullet point items on the agenda?
The only thing that I don't wanna belabor this, but I think it's an important thing to talk about at some point. I don't know if we wanna get into it now, but how are we functioning forward without these people? Are we bringing in freelancers? Are we, contracting? Are we what? So do we have a plan to kind of cover, I guess?
Right, so again, the decision was made as far as whose position was going to be eliminated by who could absorb those responsibilities that were staying. And so for a very short period of time, we're still gonna be paying out severance. So our funding isn't going anywhere for a bit of time. So we can't hire freelancers, we can't hire part-time people, we can't hire anybody. And it is on the responsibilities of the remaining staff to get things done, and so we are going to be doing, we're going back to the basics. We're paid to do public meetings, we're paid to have a facility open to the public so that they can create their programming. We're paid to train the community on that kind of thing. And when and where we can start expanding, we will. Neighborhood View will be paused for a short duration until we can find a grant that would pay for a part-time coordinator. We do have a contract with its editor until the end of the year, which we will honor. But until the money is in the bank for that position, we won't be doing Neighborhood View right now. We've already let the library know that we're no longer gonna partner in the Malden Reads program. And then, as you know, we'll continue to work for, you know, what's the word I'm looking for, treat these workshops, right? And the beta programs that we're looking at. We're looking for interns, we're looking for volunteers. We need people to sit at the front desk and let people in and answer the phone. My intention right now is to have our operating hours still be 12 to 7 p.m. Monday through Thursday. All of our remaining team members are on board and understand the ask. I'm gonna be here a lot. I'm gonna be here a lot.
Have we thought about reaching out to like maybe Bunker Hill, because they have a media arts program, to see if any of their people are looking for some internships or looking for some hours
To
to.
be completely honest, right now, we're trying to get through the transition period and then identify what the actual need is, right? So we're pulling back on all non-cable related programming, all of it. So when I say cable related, that means anything that doesn't produce content for our channel, we are no longer going to be doing right now. So the workshops are a little different because we can actually put their final project on the channel, right? But we're gonna focus on what we are paid to do, and then we're gonna expand on it once we get more funding.
And interns are definitely something that we can look at, but usually internship programs have certain requirements you have to meet. And it's also, they want a mentor, they want specific projects, they have to be trained in a way. So that's staff hours that be taken away to get somebody on board. I think we want to get there again.
Yes.
Because interns are amazing.
Yes.
Right.
And I love working with them. They bring energy, they bring vibrancy. But we have to have a plan for them, and we can't just bring them in and throw them at the front desks. That's not really a learning experience for them. Like, we would have to identify a very specific project for them and know that we would have the ability to train them to do those things. So I think right now it's a hunker down, but yes.
But even for the front desk, will there be, I mean, I know obviously if we work during the day, some of those hours are tough for,
Yeah.
but could you put an ad out saying volunteers wanted, and that might
Yeah,
hopefully bring
yeah.
more people from the community in?
Yes, and that's
That
gonna
I
be
think-
that's gonna be the secondary communication after we get through this process. But mind you, we're not even through this process yet. We're going through this process through the 20th, and it's a daily, there's a lot, there's a lot to handle in this process, and I'm trying to give everyone the space to transition properly. So a lot of focus and effort has been on that the last few weeks. But my intention is, yes, the secondary wave of communication out to the public will be, okay, here's what UMA needs, right? And these are the hours we need them, or these are the projects we have. We do have a volunteer that's super interested in helping out with editing and training people, and so what we'll do is draft what those look like and the ask is, right?
We have some of that already, so whenever we go out to a community event and we have conversations with people at what we're calling the marketing table, but it really is like engagement with the community. It's always about, some people are like, oh, you know what, I just left a job, I'd love to come and do XYZ. Sign your name, give us your email, here's my card. If you want to follow up, here's a job description of sort of what we're looking for. As a volunteer, you put X number of hours in. Is it still X number of hours and they get a membership? Or
10.
10 hours, they they actually would get a membership.
Yeah.
So every single time we're out at an event, we have a table, that's what we're doing.
And even some of the schools, the high schools, I mean, especially when it comes to like answering phones, taking messages, they need community service hours, they need,
Yeah, so
and this
again,
is.
kind of like to Brian's point, these are great suggestions. If you would mind, like either sending me an email with them all out so we can and any context that you have with them would be super helpful. Cause then that's the work we don't have to do, right? So,
And we always get the requests about them, my sub students, but we also have like, to have certain projects in place for
Right.
them. And, answering phones isn't necessarily what they want to be doing. They want to be doing filmmaking. And if we don't have that bandwidth for staff, we can't accept them.
But some of them are looking for office work
Yeah.
and that kind of
Yeah,
stuff, so that is, I mean, if you can
Yeah.
utilize them that way.
You knew you had a beginning?
it's something I was supposed to follow up on. So. That too.
Can we take underage people to man to person the front desk?
What underage?
Well, yeah.
12.
No, I mean 17.
No, you can start at, I think it's the age of, is it 16 or 15?
14, you can get your working papers.
Okay.
And you can only work so obviously certain hours and certain times, but
Yeah.
don't follow it, so that's not an
I
issue.
mean, would they like to do some shredding? Would they like to?
No, they don't want to do
Stuff
anything,
around?
but if I.
But it's a
Right.
summer employment program though, I mean, you have people,
Yeah.
and it does give them
Yeah.
office experience, so that
Yeah.
they, I mean, I worked at the
People
Y at
having-
14 at the front desk answering phone, like.
Having
It's just-
people sign in, like greeting people,
Yeah.
talking a little bit about what we do.
Did the myself here. She did a lot of that, but she did do some stuff like Pokemon Go, what came out that year.
Yeah.
So she taught like the mayor how to play Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
But in between that, she was doing stuff like the
Yeah,
front desk and
it's
all that.
awesome. We would love it.
And especially even when it comes to like designing flyers or doing social media,
Do they have some Canvas skills?
Yeah,
Yeah, great.
and kids, social media,
They do.
you can have, this is what we need, have them put it together for
A
approval.
little video or something.
Right, and you guys approve
Yeah.
it, and then they I mean, this.
What's wrong with my kids? They hate
Yeah.
social media. My kids are broken.
Okay.
Maybe not.
What else,
Maybe
what else
they're
do we need to get done on the agenda? I want to make sure we are moving forward on this.
Let's jump into the finance report, right? Or
I'm not
sorry,
prepared.
Iman, you should probably run this meeting, not me.
Sorry, I can't get myself off mute fast enough, so if you wanna jump, go ahead, I got no objection to it.
Yeah, and I'm happy to have continued conversations offline. You were all my teammates, you understand that, right? Yeah. So I feel the support and the love and the passion for this organization, and you're all my teammates, and our teammates.
I don't have
and
anything
Everybody
for
else.
subcommittee. I don't know if we want to jump to that, like
Oh, finance report,
nominating.
Probably want.
Oh, fine.
So-
Sorry.
Can't go out of order.
Yes, and I was gonna say I don't have anything to report for finance. I have not gotten to anything this month.
Okay.
I know, I'm a horrible person, and I know I'm behind, and
So
I
all
owe
I
a
would say
report.
is that we're at end of year and I'm scheduling an appointment with Marcel next week, our bookkeeper, to identify any end of year things, because the following week I'm gonna be at the ACM conference. So we're trying to get everything wrapped up for end of year. And then just an FYI, Marcel has let us know that he's also stepping away as our bookkeeper because he's got his own business and the farmer's market thing is his, and so. Not only will I be doing that, I'll be doing that as well. for a
The
little while.
bookkeeping? Okay.
I mean, I also have some QuickBooks skills, so
We have streamlined it so much now.
Yeah.
It's
so
I know
much-
it's just it's death by a thousand cuts, right? It's 10,000 administrative things, and all of them don't take a lot of time, but together they do. Right. So I just I feel for you because Marcel does a lot. He does a lot.
But he really did streamline a lot of it too.
He
so-
did.
And he's teaching me how to do it, so.
We can always make better too, and I have QuickBooks skills.
Yeah, I can get in and run reports, and that's mostly it. But I do not have a report this month. I will try and provide a report before the next board meeting. I'll try and get something out. I'm absolutely booked to the end of June, so
Do we need your report to close our fiscal year though?
I don't think we need a report from you, do
I
we?
need your signature.
I know you do.
Before I leave though. Don't let me forget that, please.
Yes,
To answer your question, Felicia, it would be nice to have that for the close of the fiscal year, so at least we know where we stand for FY. Whatever, I don't even know if it's what fiscal year will be, FY 2025.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll generate a report and provide a via email to the board and to staff, kind of some overview of where we are,
Wait,
the normal things.
End of the month too, because most of it, everything will be in by then too.
Yeah, I prefer to have end of month to actual report on the full year would be ideal, but I got to go in and do auditing anyway. I'm way overdue.
We would need your audit to make sure that our stuff was correct for end of year and so.
And the auditor is already reaching out, which is why I need Brian's signature. He wants to schedule in August, so.
Yeah. I will also mention though, even though I don't have a formal report, that my audits have become quicker and easier because of a lot of the streamlining that's happened and having everything been put online, being able to see all of the transactions that are occurring and everything being labeled correctly. And it's a lot easier to go through and see everything. And there's more checks and balances. I never think there's enough, but there are more checks and balances than there have been in the past. And it's easier to audit now, having everything digitized. Which
I will also say for the public meeting aspect of this is that we just yesterday finished putting 5 years worth of financials in our document center on the website, so everything is totally transparent and available to the public, so.
So that's what I have. I apologize. I don't have more.
All right, with that being said, if there's no further discussion on the finance agenda item, we'll move to the subcommittee update. I guess I'll start as the executive committee. For contract negotiation purposes, it is being reviewed by legal right now. He did give me the okay to actually say that out loud, so just making sure that it's all legally compliant, but he did say, he was impressed and he said thank you to everybody for their hard work and getting that negotiation done. So I apologize to him, and I'll officially apologize on the record that I didn't realize that I thought that, as board president, I should say I apologize, but I just wanted to make sure that I was not overstepping my boundaries, but he was, Attorney DeMarco was more than fine with what we did, but again, to reiterate that point, he did say that thank you to all of us for getting this contract negotiation done and in a timely manner, and he's looking through it right now to make sure that there are no legal flaws, and once he sends his approval, we can have that contract signed and ready to go. Any other committees?
Subcommittee report or just mention everything?
Yeah. For the programming subcommittee, Katie and I found 2 community members that are interested in helping us. One of them Eden mentioned, and I'm probably gonna say the name wrong, and hoping I don't. Ilana Martinez.
Elena,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Elena.
yeah, I think Elena,
Martinez,
yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one is Jim Valente. For people who don't know who he is, he worked at the high school, he does a lot of the media classes.
Some.
I he's really excited about that connection, thank you.
He is too.
Yeah, good, great.
Try to
Yay.
find a meeting time that maybe you can come to the first one so that you can
Sure.
meet them and,
I think I responded to your
Yeah.
email last.
and she was saying July 7th may work. So that's it. Right now, we're just trying to
Yeah.
find time that works.
You're in
for everybody.
Atlanta.
And you might have to do like 2 meetings,
Sure.
that you can't be at and one that you can be at.
And I'm happy to do it virtually too, if it works better.
You haven't got to fear the conference.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
I'm unavailable that week.
Yeah.
I mean, I can virtually too from
Yeah. It's hard, I know with the summer.
in the baseball field.
Yeah, Joel's trying to get everything together, but that was the 2 ideas. And then I just heard about, the program at Linden. That might be good to, even for you guys to look into in the future. But I don't know
If you
about it.
send us more details about it, like
If you guys.
I
have-
don't have kids in the school system, I don't have
What?
kids actually. so-
For the media program at Linden.
Oh, I can get you Tiger TV
Yeah.
stuff, I can.
If you know someone too, that's always
Yeah.
helpful, like, hey Felicia, or hey, this is so and so and.
So our secretary at Linden, Jade, is fantastic, and I'll try to get in touch with her. She'll at least know who to contact at the school and get things up. So, yeah, absolutely.
And as we think of, more people that might be a great connection, we'll, see if they'll wanna try to come to a meeting or something.
Great.
And I have a whole list of ideas
Yeah.
of different.
Yeah.
Just like different programming
Yeah.
things that like don't cost any money, but can bring in some money.
Some ideas, obviously, you would have to like say yes or no to.
Right.
Yeah.
Like one is if they have some students that are really good in the media, if they can be trained in equipment so that you're happy, that they know how to use stuff properly, can they teach a youth class? Like stuff like
Great
that.
question.
So that,
And-
you don't have to answer that right now, but
Yeah.
these are just
And I did want to,
ideas.
one thing I forgot to put on my ED report is that I did meet with Joe and Laura with the Parks Department, with my idea that I had. And it turned into this big, beautiful thing, and I've got to follow up with them on the conversation, but the idea was, hey, would you guys run this club, basically, through the rec department, where you get the kids interested in the club, we will train them on the equipment and then send them out to do coverage of all the sporting events you got, right? And then they gangbusters with that, they were super excited, and we're developing a plan for that, and yeah, we're working on that probably, but the programs with the rec department really don't start taking off again until the fall. And so we're working on that, but that partnership, that collaboration that you're talking about, so we'll have some sort of club through or group through the rec department. We could do something very similar with a local school district.
It's great.
Right?
Should we,
Because they have a big reach, I mean, they have a big reach in the community.
Yeah.
Does it
yeah,
generate
Bill,
revenue?
if he wants to be on
Yes.
the program.
I love that.
I don't know if he's got, I don't know if he's got bandwidth. I
Yeah.
don't know if Laura's got, I mean,
Yeah.
they're a two-person team, right? So-
They have a couple part-time, new part-time
Yeah,
people too, so,
part-timers,
yep.
right? Great.
Generate revenue.
Well, depending on what you do, like you could, I mean,
Sponsorships.
yeah.
Okay. Alright.
Oh,
if
I
you-
have a whole plan.
But you also have like those grandparents that can't make it to things, that if they can sit home and watch their grandchild or niece, nephew play, they're gonna say, oh, this is worth like a little subscription to watch this, to,
Perfect.
Or if we
I mean,
can,
can you do that?
other communities, media centers around the
We
country
have to look at that.
have actually put up paywalls on their video on demand. So you have to pay like so much to watch this particular, so it's got mixed reviews on success and bandwidth on actually implementing, so. But again, this is all within the strategic planning process, so.
That was kind of the thing,
Yeah.
if it's something you can do, I mean, we pay for Game Changer, so we can, like, if we can't be at something
I
that we
know.
can see everything that's going on at the games, same thing for hockey.
I love
So-
that.
Legally can,
That's my question, is legally, can you charge?
well, I was gonna ask if outside of
It's a paywall.
paywalls, instead of paywalling, can we do ads?
No,
Can we take revenue from ads? No.
Never do
Yeah,
that,
you would
we can
say
have underwriters.
Underwriters. We can never.
Which is,
Explain the difference.
yeah,
Like, can we say brought to you by?
Nonprofits can't run ads.
PBS.
Nonprofits.
So if we're hosting video of something and we want to pay for it, we can't allow advertisers?
It happens, the karate place next door underwrite it.
It's the same thing, it's just.
And then can they put a little spot about themselves?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we can do, what did you call it?
Underwriting.
Oh.
Right, so we can put in interstitial video from underwriters. I
This is
hate
brought
myself
to
so
you
much
by-
right now. You know, I don't like Robert's rules, so this kind of stuff makes me crazy. But yes, the answer is yes, we can accept
Underwriting.
Yeah.
alternatives to paywalls by bringing in sponsor things.
Position, I have done an entire sponsorship plan, a strategic plan and projection and program on a massive sports platform. So we covered football, basketball, hockey, swimming, girls football, like we covered every sport in the planet with a remote truck, and we had every business in town buying
Mhm.
underwriting, right? So I'm very well versed in what that looks like. We just have to get to that spot someday with what our equipment, our
But-
staff.
Yeah.
Before
Time.
we can go do that, because no business is gonna sponsor that unless there's eyeballs
But if
There's
you-
also, don't forget, we have a booster club course.
Booster Club,
Absolutely.
in, again, my past
Which
experience,
one's
the
the
Booster
treasurer?
Club was actually the crew for all the productions. So
But
the
if
parents
we're
would come out through
training-
the productions.
So we're training these kids in these classes over the summer, they, you know,
Yes.
get a group together and they become Malden Sports Network.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it becomes a thing that you want to get involved with as a high schooler to film all this stuff. Staff is involved, staff oversees.
Right.
You know, it's like,
There would have to probably be some staff involvement because, you know, there has to be equipment check-in, equipment check-out, reservations happen. Maintenance of equipment, knowing what's gonna be edited, how it's gonna be edited, how it will go up on our platforms. There's always staff involvement.
Sure.
So
Yep.
even if somebody goes out and completes the whole project, there's still gotta be some staff involvement.
But again, this could wrap into that workforce development.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right, so like say there's somebody that's interested in being a sports videographer or wants to be a commentator, right? So I don't wanna digress too much farther, but I just.
It's good.
It's all
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's all there. It's just, we gotta put the plan on paper,
And when we
right?
have the plan, I would love to go out and solicit people for sponsorships.
I do too.
Oh, good. Well,
I have no problems with.
We'll have
soliciting.
the one
I
thing.
no
is
problem soliciting for
there can
things.
be no banners of any type in Malden. Malden has a thing about, put banners up.
I don't know what that
The
means.
baseball field has banners up.
It's for the high school.
Holy.
No,
Yeah. You
So-
can't advertise.
you,
What if we
Malden has
underwrite?
sign regulations that you can only have certain size signs on your property. They can only be up for so long. The nonprofits fall into a different category, like some of the fields, but like at McDonald Stadium and stuff, that falls under the stadium commission. It doesn't fall. So there are, yes,
But
Malden
you
has
know,
some
We
interesting.
got away from that,
rules.
in my previous position is we actually had, we spent some money and we had a table, a commentator table that had the video screen on the front of it. So we ran the underwriting and the sponsorships on that screen and it wasn't technically a banner.
Like
And at this point,
officials
TV, big
put their
screen,
sign
it's not
up.
that expensive to have something just,
So anyways, I digress
Yeah.
again.
So what's next?
Yeah.
yeah.
Fantastic ideas, though. I'm so excited.
Yes. Iman, what's next? Where were we? Subcommittee update.
So, with that being said, we are now moving on to old business. So the first agenda item is board contract / agreements. That's gonna have to be tabled, until further notice. Person that can speak to this is not here. And.
Do I need to reach out to this person? Cause like,
Whatever.
it needs to happen. Like, it's been months. Do I need to I know who the person is. Do I need to reach out to them and try to get what they have?
No, you don't have to. Don't worry about it. I think it's being worked out right now.
Okay. Okay,
So-
thank you. I just wanna make sure, cause
Is it something you need to speak about in executive session and have a? Okay.
it's just when we show up.
Okay.
Okay.
No, no,
Okay.
it's being, apparently right now it's being worked on. Oh, the only thing I do probably wanna add, actually, before I move further with my tabling of this, is that, something I was thinking about, and especially with last meetings, I think this is a sergeant at arms, and I'm pretty sure if I'm not calling it the correct position, but I think that this might be something that possibly to think about moving forward is, maybe creating a sergeant at arms, meaning that one person, each month would be designated to basically just call around and ensure that, we have a sufficient amount for quorum. But I have to work that out, and I have to think about that, so, but that's something I would like to talk about further, so that we don't run into these issues of, not being able to have quorum, then we have to wait till the following month, and especially if there is something pressing that needs to be discussed, obviously not waiting and prolonging it, so, but again, that's something I have to think about. I'll table this item for the time being until I can properly get those thoughts down, so, but this is tabled. And the next agenda item, I don't know if Tina wants to talk on it, or if you want, go ahead, Tina.
Yeah, bylaws are passed
Yeah.
and on the website. Done.
I know.
Thank God.
So, do you want that agenda item on? That's also another agenda item. I think we can all agree to. I don't need a vote, but I'm pretty sure we can agree to that can be removed from old business because that is now finished.
Okay.
Subcommittee assignments. I don't know why this thing is on. I can't remember why we were going to talk about this.
I think it needed to be removed, it just never has been.
I agree. So that also can be removed moving forward.
Okay.
And now on to the strategic plan. I will turn that over to Tina. If there's anything to discuss.
The update for, I updated each goal set in my ED report, so I don't know if there's additional questions on specific strategic planning. I do again encourage the board to work on the board contract and agreement. I think that's the last really governance item we need to establish.
The strategic plan, by the way, I love that I get to see progress in all of them every time there's an ED report. I think that is fantastic. There is a new one coming at the end of next year, is it? There was like a full strategic plan that was going to be presented after
So,
1
that's
year.
the goal sets, right?
Right.
Was to create a long-term, we got started a little late.
Right. And I think the goal was not for this year, but the end of next fiscal
So
year.
the plan was to implement and get it going, like
Mhm.
RFP and finding this up, and then we got this great information from Lori about this potential grant. So we're kind of holding to see if we get that, right? Because that'll save us so much money, and we'll get this amazing professional to come in and help us and
Right.
that kind of thing. And I think we'll find out in July.
By July 1st.
So it really starts out on
So
our
it's
new
not that
fiscal
long.
year.
It's worth waiting
I don't
for.
wanna-
So the goal is to have I just want to, if I recall correctly, this was like an interim strategic plan. The full strategic plan, the goal would be by the end of the 2025-2026 fiscal year to have an actual strategic plan, correct?
In place, 1 year. from
I just
today.
wanted to get that out there. That is the goal, is to have that. Okay.
Yes,
And
1
the
year from today.
consultancy would start like right away, as far as I understood.
Yep.
So if you're accepted into the program, then they start.
And so I think that the strategic plan agenda item will stay on in case there are any further questions, right? I know that obviously there's time to answer that during the ED report or if there's any question, but I think that this should be something that stays on as a recurring agenda item in case that there are any follow-up thoughts that pop in anybody's mind.
I love that.
Which we need to report another agenda item, so. With that being said, if there is no other further discussion, we'll go to the new business. And we will go to the first item, which is the UMA board planner. Which I also think that this might be something also that has to be tabled or removed at this point.
I can speak to it a little
Okay.
bit, cause I'm the one that came up with the idea and then somebody else was carrying it on. So we use the planner tool in Microsoft Office as part of our environment. And it's really, really helped us all as a team to really understand what's going on. So my thought concept was to have a planner for the board and all of these things, like your great ideas and tasks that need to be accomplished.
They have great ideas too.
Your great ideas too.
Everyone has good ideas.
Everyone has great ideas. The planner tool is a way for us to assign tasks to people or create notes or that kind of thing. But from what I understood, I know everyone has access to the UMA BOD email, but are you using it? Because
No.
you would have to use that
Right.
email.
It's okay.
So, and I think it's a broader conversation, but I wanted to bring it up. I was trying to find a way to help us stay organized as a team, right? So that's why it's on the new business.
You're using Teams right now, right, for intra
We
communication?
use the entire Microsoft suite. Yeah. I use To Do now, like I discovered To Do, that's amazing, tasks, whatever.
I have mixed feelings only because I work in a Google environment and I use a lot of Google tools. Trello boards, things
Use
like
both,
that.
yeah.
And then you have to use
So-
both.
Yeah, I'm trying to divest of Google. It's not easy.
I see like the way that I organize my file system for grant stuff like that and.
So what was the goal for the board planner?
Was to create a single spot that works through the entire operation, but specifically for board planning, right? Like, so.
But we don't want to create a tool that you're not using, or you can't have access to, it doesn't work for you, so it's sort of like.
But I don't wanna use 7 different tools.
Absolutely.
If we have teams, can we use it and become part of your team?
I can get in because I have the treasurer login,
Yes.
but I don't know if we need logins for everybody or if we can share a login or what that
Well, that's
looks
what I'm
like.
saying is, if everyone should be able to access the BOD email, that's the point of it. And that could access the planner, but I don't know if like Katie logs in as the BOD email, does her name come up under that task, right? Like, I think we
No.
might have to create.
Or if we, yeah, like if we have teams, if we have the Microsoft suite, can we join your team?
I think we could look at that.
Let's look at licenses and all that.
Yeah.
I think we can do outside permissions, because I've done that before.
So my biggest challenge with the treasurer is that I don't log in. Like I log in when I have to do treasurer things, but otherwise I'm not logging in. I'm not seeing the tasks, that kind of stuff. If I had access through my personal or work emails, then and it came up, I would see the normal course of my workflow. So something to think on.
Well,
Is-
could you have the treasurer emails forwarded to your email?
I could.
Another one.
Just to remind you, the reason
true.
we set up the treasurer email was so that when treasurer.
I know. That's just
Well, you
you are
always
correct.
forward-
I'm not disputing that you're correct.
But you can forward your treasurer's emails for now to go to your personal.
I
as
know.
well.
Yeah.
I know.
Sorry.
I don't want to do it, but she's correct. Yes, that's the look of someone that's like, I acknowledge that that's correct and that's what I should be doing. Yes.
So, yeah. And I guess maybe that's a question is, can we set up the BOD to forward to all of you so you get a ding on it? But that's not gonna happen with the plan. I know, you're gonna get a billion emails.
Cause I check my
It's
email.
But this is the kind of work that needs to happen when I talk about governance, right? So how do we keep engaged? How do we keep informed? That kind of thing.
What access can we give you to our systems that's gonna help you feel like you have a place to put information rather than just emailing stuff?
I agree it's needed. I don't know what
Yeah.
the best implementation is either.
So and bringing it up as new business, right? That doesn't that, we don't need to do any action. I just want to bring it up.
No, think about it.
Motion to table.
Second.
I talked about it now.
Oh, you don't need a motion to table anything, you just need.
Oh, I'm making a new motion for you right now. It's under the table. You can't see it, but there's a motion happening.
Fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. Yeah, we'll turn that over to.
No discussion, that's great, let's
No.
move on.
Looks good.
And I wanted to take a moment, there was a secondary draft sent to the board today, and I just wanted to call out why a new draft was sent, and that was because I made the decision to move the severance package pays down to other personnel rather than having in the salaries line item. That's the only difference. Next year's budget does reflect the reduction in staffing. Reminder that, you know, the savings and funding won't really kick in until about November. Like
Right.
significant savings. But I did want to point out, you know, we went from a significant amount, we dropped our budget by another $100,000 this year. The significant difference in the annual operating grant from the cable providers, is I ran numbers for a 3% decline, right? Because that's what we've been consistently seeing, 3 to 5 to 7%. It's been kind of all over the board the last 5 years. So I wanted to be conservative with our organization. And so I put that number in there. I will share that in 2022. Our projected operating budget was $750,000. So 2 years ago. 3 years ago. That's it's the reality, right?
We saw it coming.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just.
We knew this was
shrink
coming.
and Shrink
Mhm.
until we get streaming.
Right, more and more people are just getting rid of
That's
cable.
Bill.
Fundraising was 0 this year, correct? Fundraising was 0.
Go down these items here, because I think it's important to talk about with the board. I wanted to mention the general operating grants is set at $45,000. We already have guaranteed, what did I say?
44,000,
So,
Congratulations.
right? That's amazing,
Congratulations.
you know, operating grants.
How is that guaranteed?
So 10,000 is from Adelaide Reed Bard Foundation, whom we greatly appreciate as a supporter for many years. The other was the 34,000 we got from we've got here contracted with MAPC, that is a general operating grant. So that's gonna help us. So,
Is there potential for more?
absolutely, but I'm not budgeting. for it,
Yeah.
So.
Good.
Um,
Surprise.
yes, so you'll notice the workshops number significantly changed, that's because we're now implementing these workshops, so this is a goal set, right? So when I do a budget. Anything following the operating grant is pretty much a goal set. We're hoping for. So workshops went up significantly, but fundraising went down significantly. Sponsorships have stayed the same. I bumped up memberships because we've been doing so well with that, as well as production services. Depending on how much we can keep in the bank, we'll get more or less interest, but I wanted to be conservative. And then I went conservative with the donations. So when it comes to fundraising, sponsorships, memberships, you know, all of those things that are sort of service generated or that kind of thing, that's where the board can be really helpful. And set, I recommend that the board set goals for themselves, right? So we have how many members on our board? We've talked about this in the past. What should each member be trying to bring in on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, right? So whether that's one organizational membership at $250, or if it's a sponsorship for our intern program at $300, right? So all of that adds up into our general operating funds and allows us to continue to move forward. Outside of that, as no significant changes in the budget outside of our personnel. Except where I wanted to call out near the end, for the first time ever that I know of, we have a contingency fund allocation, which can grow, or
What's a contingency fund?
how much money I'm hoping to have left over at the end of the year to put away for a rainy day.
Ideally, when we come out of this dip, we should start thinking about some form of endowment. So that something like this never happens again. And when the organization was flush with money for 30 years, somebody should have been putting money away so that this would never happen. So
So that is
I think that's fantastic.
year 4. I can get there, right? So that's where we're at.
Good question.
What's the other line item under capital expense? Computer networking, and underneath is other, that's going from 160 to 75.
So other is roof repair, ceiling repair, office furniture.
So this
Sewer line
unknown,
blows up, I gotta fix it.
Let's hope that never happens if we get the basement renovated. The other item I wanted to mention was the condo association fees are going down. I've never seen that happen before. What's going on?
I wanted to mention about the condos, thank you for bringing that up. The condo association is a whole thing.
Isn't it always?
Yeah, so they basically ran out of money. And couldn't pay our our insurance bill and our water bill with the city, right? So I prepaid 6 months of our expensive, our
condo,
condo fees.
right?
And they credit us now, so that's why that number is so low, because I don't think we have to start paying fees now until November.
So what happens if the other people don't pay though? Are we still on the
top of
hook?
it,
Okay.
it's happening.
Okay.
We also moved property management company, he said he's been amazing.
Is he
So
breaking kneecaps or something? Like what's going on?
tell him my secrets.
Yeah,
have an
that's all it
ex-Marine,
is.
We hired Joe Pesci. He just makes it happen. Man, you'll like that Joe Pesci reference. Look at it.
Ryan, what was your question about other?
At the end for capital expenses.
Oh.
It's under capital expense.
Like,
Oh.
I use that to like an annual campaign. as opposed to a capital campaign at this point, just like an annual campaign in
So would
November.
you like doing an end of year campaign around December?
I think I'd like to rethink it and I'd like to get your thoughts, but maybe we could. Not.
Yeah,
Do it right.
Absolutely.
I feel like strategically, we might better poised if we do it around the end.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's in 2 months.
I know.
So that's a deeper conversation. Who's our fund development leader? Subcommittee.
We don't have one.
No, everyone got assigned something. So who's the fund development subcommittee?
I know I'm finance, like back up with Brian and on nominations.
That's the other thing I need to do is train.
And, right, I didn't know there was a fund aspect, if that's. part of
Well, it's like,
that.
it used to be like the events committee, but then.
No, it's not part of
Okay.
finance.
What's it called?
It used to, I think it's the development. Committee.
Emmanuel and Felicia.
So that's.
Surprise!
So then you guys gotta meet sooner rather than later.
Like, I don't know.
I want to.
You guys, I'm just trying to find the committee assignments.
I have them, I have them.
The development and, what did I say?
Development. What would you like to know? I have it.
Yeah,
Oh, no, it's you. It's you.
It's you.
That's what-
Yes.
Emmanuel.
Well, is it just me or who else is on this one?
Katie.
Felicia. No.
Felicia,
I'm
her
kidding you.
co-chair. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Listen, I got that break. So.
Yeah, that doesn't end.
No.
And I will note to Brian's comment earlier, you'll notice I did not put anything in for other income, because that's like a, ooh, how we got. that.
Yeah, I saw the 0. I wanted to call that out for the board's general knowledge that the numbers look better for this year because we drew on funds that were coming due. But 25 grand is going to replace it this year.
Her goal,
The
Contingency.
contingency fund.
Yeah, there we go. I was like,
the rainy day.
been here since 6:30, so.
I feel you.
Like,
I feel you. So
yeah. All right, so we are at the end of our fiscal year, so.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah. That's what I was saying.
Motion to approve the fiscal year budget of what, fiscal year 25-26?
second.
Yeah, you're looking to adopt this budget. You're
Okay.
looking to adopt this
A
budget.
motion
so
to
I'm gonna-
adopt the presented budget for fiscal year 2025-2026.
Second.
So you're second to that motion,
Brian,
seconded by Brian. I think we'll do a roll call.
Hold on,
Clerk will call the roll.
1 second.
1 second, she said.
Great. Katie,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
you guys get, Emmanuel,
Yep.
is anybody else?
No.
Yes,
Any-
and I'll,
Oh, yeah.
yes for me.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. That budget passes unanimously. Good job.
Thank you. So, this will now make its way on, onto our document center so that it's a public facing document. The projected budget for next year will go on, not as is, because this has this year's as well, and I don't want. Perception to be that those are the actual numbers for this year yet, because we're not done. So I will. Put.
Remove
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah, I'll remove
25,
that,
it's gonna be
that part of
25.
it, yeah.
And that's on the website or
Yes.
where?
It will be,
Yeah.
Okay,
now,
there's
yeah.
an area on the website.
Yeah, we have a document center on the website now that has, and it's, yeah, so this, moving
Bylaws, all
forward.
that stuff.
Yep,
Yeah.
moving forward, I will put the adopted budget on our website, so that's popular.
And one of my goal sets, I think, going forward will be to be, probably not for this fiscal year, but for next, to have an annual report. So we do a wrap up, what worked, goes well, we thank donors, we have something to present. Probably not in paper form, but more in digital, because I'm just like to save the trees, but something more official.
Mhm.
That's an actual annual report.
And I would just suggest if we could put our meetings on the website, the link that we were talking about.
Yeah.
A link like somewhere,
It's on the board page. Every time,
Oh, it's
every
definitely-
time. Oh, no,
For the public, yeah,
For the public.
yes,
If
okay.
we're having public comment,
right.
Oh,
We kind of
okay.
have to be open to the public,
yeah.
otherwise.
We're open to the public here,
Not everybody can be here.
but as it has been for hundreds of years, right? Zoom is new, but we should be 100% agree. We should Zoom. But I just want to recognize, like, just because we're not online doesn't mean it's not open to the public, right? But we can make it more accessible.
Yes.
Maybe I'm calling.
And
out
hopefully
over
get
here,
more
but,
people.
do we send the board meetings out to members? Do the members like get? Like, there's a board meeting coming up or any?
Should just be posted online.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they usually do a social media post like, by the way, did you know the board meeting? Here's a link
Tonight.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There needs to be a link to
Or
it.
later this week.
It-
Right.
It doesn't go tonight because you wouldn't ask us to post that quick.
Oh, no, but
Right.
if it gets posted, it's like on a Facebook, if you put on Facebook, we have a board meeting on
Yeah,
this date,
every-
here's the link,
right,
and then
yeah,
that's
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
So this is the reminder to Emmanuel that his image shows up the entire time when we post the video, as mine did when I was doing it from home once. And I was, oh my God.
Yeah, like, wow, I'm like, my, little brown face makes. God bless. Well, maybe that's probably why we don't have people want to sign up for Hulu, because I see my face on there. That's all right.
The further business?
It's not
Okay.
Another agenda.
Yes.
Isn't hurt, it's really that way, so. All right, we have now come to the last agenda item, which is the annual meeting to be held September 18th. Which according to our bylaws, is in compliance with our bylaws that we talked about, right? I believe that's the third Thursday of the month, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
And so, I don't know if Tina wants to talk more about it or just,
Not this time, but we should start, the development committee should start planning for it.
That's the 18th?
Yes.
Is
Put
there-
in my calendar.
September 18th at 7 PM here at Wilma. We're gonna run them exactly like we have the last couple of years. But that usually should be either an exec committee planning or. Like, we should be planning that. It's your board meeting, it's your annual meeting, right? So I usually give an update on stuff. Emmanuel usually gives an update on stuff. Last couple of years, we've given out a legacy award. So we do choose that recipient. Last year, we gave out a special award to Ari Taylor, our outgoing board member, and I would like to bring that back because there are a ton of community members that deserve appreciation from us, so we can talk about that. But it is an actual working board meeting, so.
Yeah.
And there are seats up for
Right.
reelection, so
Board recruitment probably.
board recruitment's gonna be big.
yeah.
So our next meeting is the 24th? Sorry,
When's the third Thursday of the
that's
month?
the third Thursday, July 24th.
Right.
Oh, sorry, one,
Yes.
sorry, is it the 17th?
17th.
Sorry.
It will be in July. In good faith, I can't cancel the July meeting, unfortunately.
So it's the 17th, right? I had the wrong date when I
Yeah.
said the
Is that
24th.
the third week?
That's the
Yes.
third week.
Yeah.
So unless there's extenuating circumstances, it's always the third Thursday
I
at
understand.
7 o'clock.
Okay.
And so like the reason it wasn't this month is because it's a
That's
holiday.
Juneteenth, yes, I.
Same will be for Thanksgiving. We'll probably move it and. I mean, I don't mind hanging out with you all at Christmas time, but we do that, but
What do we need to talk about regarding the annual meeting?
just wanted you to have the date in front of you.
Okay, yeah, I just blocked it off on my calendar for 3 PM to 9 o'clock in case gotta get here early. I would encourage all the board members, especially those new board members who've not been here before, that helping set up and break down is, again, with even fewer staff members. Anybody that can fold a table is encouraged to come early and leave late.
For the camera.
I will actually piggyback on that and say every board meeting, anyone wants to help fold a table and a chair is helpful. So,
We might be looking for donations for refreshments. We'd like to make sure that there's space for overflow, that we have some folks that if they have accessibility issues, there's enough stuff. So there's a lot logistical stuff basically to talk about too.
Can we underwrite the annual board meeting?
You absolutely would. Absolutely. Got any friends?
Is it Brian Boswell underwriting? That'd be a conflict or no?
Maybe. I gotta figure a couple things out, but yeah, that might be the case.
This, it won't be.
But I require a banner.
Yeah.
I
A
can make you a
banner.
banner. I can make you a banner.
Right there, it'll be right there.
All right, seeing that we've come to the end of the agenda, there is nothing that needs to be discussed in executive session. I will entertain any motions at this time right now to end the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
And I was started by Jonathan, seconded by
Katie.
And I'll second it.
We don't hear a roll call. I'm pretty sure we're gonna say yes.
No one's gonna
Everybody have a great
oppose.
night. No abstentions, and there's nobody voted no against that. Good night, everybody.
Good night.